Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And in this lesson, I might title it, What the Hell Happened to All the Real Men? Okay, and, this is partially inspired by a couple different conversations I've had, with certain folks. So I want to start off with this precept here, and then we'll just get into it a bit. And it also shows the importance of having, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, coupled with the faith and determination to see it through, right? So Proverbs 16:32, it says, "He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city." Because one thing that people they feel the effects of it, but they can't put their finger on the cause or the reason as to why it's happening. And this is basically dealing with the process of men becoming women, to put it plainly, to put it bluntly, because that's what's happening, right? A lot of men are becoming women. Men don't even understand what it means to be a man anymore, because Esau has created a system over time, right? Over time, that has, as it says in the book of Daniel, he shall seek to change times and laws. The laws of nature he is changing, and that's not just, like GMO seeds and mixed breeding of animals. It's also the laws of human nature that Esau is changing or has changed. And so having this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, this truth, and the faith to believe in it, protects us from that, right? Because at one point we were subject to the corruptions of this world, but with believing so strongly in this truth, which in order to be a faithful servant, a useful servant to the Lord, you have to exhibit these traits, because the Lord is not dealing with women. Right, you're not hearing the Lord calling upon women as to be prophets and so on. There's a precept that mentions, "Unto you, O men, do I call." All right. And what's that going into? That's going into the fact that the Lord is first and foremost dealing with men. And so, in order to be a man of the Lord, you first have to be a man. As we always say, you first have to be a man. Lord, man, shit. Anyway, you first got to be a man. So you can't just be, you cannot be a man of the Lord if you're effeminate or you are a man of this world, because this world is teaching men to become women. So going back to the point, and this is a subject that, it can go in many directions, but I'll try to keep it, in the cohesive and coherent as best as possible. So starting with what I was mentioning before, a lot of people feel the effects of that. Men complain about it, real men complain about it, and women. Right, because a lot of women are not able to be real women. Remember that women, they reflect. That whole concept of pettiness is like tit for tat. You do this, I'm gonna do that. You do this. That's a feminine trait, because they reflect what you give them. So if you have women that are going, crazy and shit, a part of that is also because of the men. A big part of that, because when she does that, biologically, there's a certain natural response, which, for example, when a daughter steps out of line, her father is not afraid, at least shouldn't be afraid, to put her in check. That's his daughter. So she stays in line. That's why when you have households where, they have disciplined fathers and parents, strict parents, they're respectful. They come out right because they're put in check. And eventually, that's just their nature. They are going to go off and start wilding, but they need to be put in check. And a lot of men today don't do that. They're afraid. They act like women. They think, oh, if you put your foot down, she's gonna leave or run away. Or if you don't get an answer you're looking for, then, you just turn into a bitch, pretty much. And I've heard a number of women say that, that a lot of men today, they just turn into bitches. They start moaning and crying and shit because they don't know how number one, they don't know how to be a man, but number two, they don't even understand a woman, right? If you don't understand how to approach a certain situation, of course you're gonna make all the wrong moves for the most part. But the difference with us and why we're blessed is that we don't have the leeway to do that shit. When you serving the Lord, you don't got you can't go around bitching and moaning about everything. No, because who you going bitch and moan to the Lord when He has instructed you to do something? You gonna do it. What happened when Jonah tried to refuse his calling? He ended up in the belly of a big fish, and then guess what? His ass still ended up going to Nineveh. That doesn't get you anywhere with the Lord. So that's why the scriptures tell you, I believe in the book of Sirach, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. You got to gird up your loins like a man, because these things are a part of it. The trials that are going to try you. When you're gold and you're in the midst of the fire and it's purifying you, it doesn't feel good. It hurts, but it's for your own it's for your betterment. So you gotta, like literally, there's a saying called "man up." Why don't you hear "woman up"? Right? It's man up, which when you hear that term "man up," it means be strong, right? Stop being a wuss. Stop being soft. Stop being a coward. And this world today has lost that. Why do you think that is? Well, think about it. When you go back to the book of Genesis, what was it that the Egyptians feared that led them to start plotting against the Hebrews and to start slaying their children? If the Israelites were weak, the Egyptians wouldn't have feared so much about them joining forces. Yeah, that concern would have still been there, but not as much. But the Israelites weren't weak, even in captivity, even in slavery under the Egyptians. So much so that they were afraid that if another nation came against them, we could easily join forces with that nation and easily overthrow Egypt. So they feared that. So guess what? What do you think Esau Edom, having known all that, would do? Of course he's going to try to weaken the men. That's the same thing that the same advice that Balaam gave to Balak to get the women, the Midianite women, to get the men of Israel to go off. So they knew that if they can weaken the men, they can bring down the nation. And oftentimes they use the women to do it. So Esau adopted the same practice. He said, yeah, I'm going to weaken the men. I'm going to make them soft. Women are easy to deceive. Women are easy to manipulate. That's why the serpent went to the woman. He went to Eve, right? They're easy to deceive and manipulate. So if you can turn a man into a woman, I mean, now they're doing it physically, but if you can turn the mindset of a man, because what makes a man, it's not your physical appearance per se or alone. Obviously, on a base level that factors in, but it's about the mind, the heart. What's in this person's mind is what plays that role. That's why David was able to go and defeat Goliath when the whole army of Israel was afraid of him, because he had that courage, that heart, and that faith in the Lord. You have certain individuals that they may look scrawny, but they have such tenacity, such grit, such determination, and such a strong belief in what it is that they're trying to achieve, that they achieve great things. When you actually go into history and you read and you read about the visage or the appearance of some of these so-called great men in history, they didn't look like Brock Lesnar or Terry Crews or the Incredible Hulk. A lot of them didn't look like that. A lot of them look like regular average men, some even below average, some super short, some skinny and scrawny. But yet you read about the things they did and you're like, well, yo, this guy's like honored as a great man, great man, great man. But when people think of great men, they think like men of stature, you're big, tall, strong. That's a plus. But to be a man, you don't have to look that way. It's about what is in your mind, what is in your heart, and how far you're willing to go for that. And these men of old, they did that. They stood on business. And that's what made them men from a youth on up. They were taught and brought up that way, to stand up for what you believe in, to stand up for what's right, not to bow down. What's that? Rather die on your feet than to live on your knees. That's the mindset they were raised with. So it allowed structure to remain in society, because once that structure was set through the upbringing, it stayed. It was firm. They were grounded and rooted. But when you don't have that, and you take away that ability, because biologically, the Lord has designed men that once they have a purpose and they lock on, they're able to achieve whatever it is they're trying to do. It's just, I mean, women can do it too, but it's on a level where that's why a lot of men are able, the Lord uses men to do these kinds of things, because they can stomach a lot more things. And their body is designed to endure a lot more different kinds of hardships, but the hardships that are tailored for whatever the Lord, needs them for. A lot of it is the real physical dangers of the world. Men's bodies and mind, their mind is in sync with their body, and their body is tailored to be able to handle that better than women. Okay? So by taking that away and weakening their mind and taking away their ability to reason, taking away their ability to stand firm, to say, you know what, no. The answer is no, that's it. And it doesn't matter whether you cry about it, because if the truth is the truth, what do you want me to do? Oh, the way you said it, I mean, you're right, but the way you said it was too harsh. Was too harsh. Why does that matter? The answer is the answer. It's the answer that has the effect. Somebody, oh, you going to date with me? No. Or, will you go on a date with me? Man, you're really beautiful, and honestly, I wish I could. It's really not you, it's me, and the answer is still going to be no, and that's what affects them, because whether you sugarcoat it or not, if you told them yes, or you said, oh my gosh, I can't, this is the happiest day of my life, oh my goodness, and then at the end you say yes, I will, is the answer that they care about, right? So that whole, you said it too harshly, you hurt my feelings and my opinion and my pronouns and this, that, and that, all that is extra, it's superfluous, it's unnecessary, it's wicked, all right? And when I say the wicked part, you know what I'm talking about. The gender fluid, they, them, all that BS and shit. And even when you look at the language of Hebrew, it's pretty straightforward. Yes, no. The other little in-between words and all this, it's not there. You get the point. When somebody speaks Hebrew and they say one thing, you get the point. You get what they're trying to say. Okay? That's how the Lord set it up. This society has lost that. This world, not just this society, this world has lost that. Even heathens, right? In the ancient world, heathens, a lot of them are one way, But even in the ancient world, you had heathens that were willing to die for the things they believed in. Some of them still are today. But even they become Americanized, they become Westernized, and they become soft, weak. So a lot of men today are weak. I was doing some research, and I found out that apparently, right, when I looked this up, they said that there are between 1 to 2% of only 1 to 2% of men in the entire world have a visible six-pack. And you might say, oh, but why does that matter? The reason it matters is because when I was thinking about it, yeah, that's about how you look. But in order to actually get that, it takes a lot of work, right? You not only have to exercise and train, you also have to eat right. Like the elders always go into that, about the diet, about how you eat, about exercising, about staying in shape. So it's a lot of work. It's very difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy for you to, to attain that, but it's doable. But with such few numbers that are able to do that, tells a lot about what people are willing to do. And that is just an example of, there are many other things that are difficult to achieve, but it's possible. And people are not willing to discipline themselves enough to do it. So if you look at the percentage of people that can do this, or percentage of people that have done this or have this, it's going to be really low if the thing is difficult. Everybody wants it, but yet why are there so few people that have it? Because they want the results, but they don't want to put in the work. The world has become weak. But you know what? It's by design. And it's going to be to the detriment of a lot of people. Because the fact that you can open your mouth today and say that people can't think, an outrageous and outlandish statement like that, as it would seem, is still true. That's the scary part. It's gotten to the point where if somebody was to say, a lot of people can't think for themselves, that's a true statement. That's crazy. Why is that a true statement? Why should that even be the case? This is the world we live in, you know? So the men are gone, the real men are gone, save a few, the water to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for that. And a lot of women have become, they've become like a boat without an anchor. They just sail wherever the seas take them, and they end up in storms, they end up in bad situations, but that's because there's nobody to anchor them. There's nobody to root them. There's nobody to keep them in check. There's no real men to be men. So on both sides, hey, everybody's fighting for their lives. Men are fighting for their lives from these wild, heinous water beasts. Women are fighting for their lives from, like you gotta compete with moles, you gotta compete with effeminate men, bruh, the list goes on and on and on, and it doesn't stop. All right, it doesn't stop. So we need Yahushua. Okay, we need Yahushua because a part of the fixing up of the world is also going to be the fixing up of the masculinity in the world. There's nothing wrong with being masculine. How they call it toxic. Everything is just designed to go against the structure the Lord has set up. Why? Because that brings order. And Esau is the agent of chaos. So he can't have order. In order for his plans to flourish, he needs this order. He needs chaos. All right. So moral of the lesson is be a man. All right. Thank the Lord that you for those that actually have that backbone, that spiritual loins to gird up, thank Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for that, because honestly, it's more rare than you think to find a real man. Just because you got dudes walking around that look like it, some of them don't even look like it. Some of them want to look like women. Some of them want to be women. But there are very few people that you can talk to that have a working brain in their heads, right? Know how to be bold and stand up for what it is, right? What's right versus what's not, and actually even just stand on what they believe in. A lot of people give up too easily. A lot of people, the second something gets difficult in the slightest bit, they stop. People don't know how to push through difficulties. They don't know how to do hard things. They don't know how to set goals. They don't have ambition. They don't have anything. That's not just speaking just to speak. It's true. It's real. So much so that a lot of them can't even answer that question. Yo, like, what is it that you strive for in life? What's your goals? What's your ambitions? What's your purpose? What you mean, bro? Like what you mean? Like, I got a job. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm good. I'm trying to get this bread. You're trying to get this bread. You're trying to make money. Then what? Money is a means to an end, but what is your end? A means to what? What do you want to do? Hey, bro. Hey, that's a good point. Hey, for now, I'm just trying to get this money. I'm trying to survive, but there's no end. They don't have anything they're working towards. A lot of people don't have a purpose. So you see why the angel told Ezra that let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain. A lot of people today were born in vain. They were born just to add to the numbers, the casualties of the destruction that the Lord is about to bring. But we thank Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And what I'm saying right now, you're going to see why and how it plays into Isaiah 4:1. Why men of the Lord are going to be more precious than fine gold, because they're going to be pretty much the only real men alive that are left. And the Lord is gonna protect us, and He's gonna be with us and provide for us, and He's gonna elevate that, right? He's gonna elevate us to where you will see the value and the desire in having a man of the Lord, even knowing one. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is gonna do that because it's gonna glorify Him. Right now, He's purifying us, but hey, you just wait. You just wait till the Lord manifests. The sons of God are fully manifest on the earth. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and exhorting to the elect. Be a man, all right? And if you're a woman, be a woman. As simple as that. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.